Welcome to Waiting on the Lord. Today is March 23rd. Thanks for watching. Sorry, my voice. A lot of stuff to cover today. There's a lot of stuff to cover today. A lot of stuff going on. We are saved through through God's grace, through faith alone. And I want to make that clear because on my videos, when I talk about works, I talk about them in a different way. I don't say that works save you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to give you an example of why works are still good. So when Jesus died on the cross, that was it. All we have to do after that is believe in him. So I say never stop doing works because they are good. You know, it's good to help your fellow person, right? I don't want to tell you things that aren't true. And when I make these videos, I can tell you I want to be careful not to tell you the wrong things, because you remember what Paul says, right? If any man says any other gospel, let him be accursed, right? So pardon me, I don't really speak to that many people, so I haven't spoken in a while here. So he never said to stop doing good works, because that does benefit humanity, especially from a good heart. So let me give you an example, okay? Let me give you an example of being a good Christian. I go to the grocery store, and I understand some people are shy. Some people, you know, they're shy, or they're, you know, they have something going on, right? So don't worry then. For me, if I see an 85-year-old woman carrying heavy groceries and she's weighed down, I'll offer to help her to the car or put them away. I'm not telling you to go out of your way, okay? Where I live here, I was walking where I live in the back. There's like a pond, and it was out of the sight. It's out kind of out in nature a bit, and so out in the back there was an old man in his electric wheelchair, and he had gone like over the side on a steep incline. His chair tipped over. He had blood all over his face. And he was by himself, okay? So he was about 83 years or older. And this is a Good Samaritan story. And when it happened to me, it came to my mind immediately. Why would I leave that man alone? And when it happened to me, I was having an allergic reaction to Moderna. So when I came across that person, I'm like, oh, I gotta get back home. That's what I was like, okay? I was having an allergic reaction. It was quite bad. My question is, if you didn't react, if you just walked past that person, I just ask you to just ask yourself, what would Jesus say? That's all I'm saying. I'm not well right now. I've been going through a kidney stone, so it's quite often I go through them. Maybe not at the start of your journey, but eventually you'll recognize what's right and what's wrong more clearly. No one's asking or telling you to go out of your way. It's always a debate. Jesus' blood did save us, but the question remains, would Jesus judge us for leaving someone in a ditch? I just wanted to say this. A lot of people don't know this. When talking about the law, okay, so the law, the Ten Commandments, whatever you mean, the first 5 books of Moses, sin is transgression of the law. So I'm trying to tell people that the law is still good to us. God made that, which makes it still good. And Paul in his epistles say the law is not nullified. I understand that if you break one sin, you break them all, right? I do understand that. But it still remains, what would you do without them? It would be chaos, right? And I believe that God intends for us to still keep those commandments. Sin is transgression of the law. So I'm going to attach a video. It's called Young Dawn Reborn, a video he just did, and it will speak to that, okay? Is the Sabbath still good? I didn't think I would hear this coming from him, but when you look scripturally, it's true. Another video I'm going to give to you, I'm going to give you 1, 2, 3 videos. Ministry of the Word, I'm just throwing these in. It's a street preacher in Toronto and Vancouver, and he preaches with a bunch of people, Ministry of the Word, and he was, so he's on the street of Vancouver, and he's talking about Muslims and how, when you start speaking up about the Quran or reading the Quran, they get very angry. And I want you to see with your own eyes how intense it got. The person who does it is very brave, in my opinion. You can look. There's about 100 people around him that look like they want to take him out. I think he raised the topic of Muslims, like that it says in the Quran that you can beat your wife if she doesn't obey you. I don't claim to know about it. I actually want to go and read it, but I'm not going to take too long here. I just want you to see it for yourself. So let's get to some news. Pardon me, just one sec. I've been going through colic from a kidney stone. Pretty common with me, so this is my own news based on what happened in Turkey. Okay, and no part of this am I trying to perpetuate anything, but take an honest look at the possibility. Actually, I wanted to give you a video with this, but YouTube erased it from this person. I'm going to share a video, so I say I'm going to share. I can't anymore because it's not there. So I remember President Erdogan of Turkey was rejecting Sweden and Finland membership in NATO. This all happened in about a period of 1 to 2 days. I don't think it was longer than a day. I was watching a video from a news podcast called Redacted about refusal into NATO, and so I watched it about, Erdogan was refusing them because they were burning Qurans in Sweden, and it had nothing to do with the majority of people, but they didn't like that, so they refused it. They refused Finland. As soon as I finished that video, you look on your YouTube and there's suggested videos on the side. The suggested video was an earthquake in Turkey. I'm like, okay. I thought, what's the chance of that after hearing all that fighting back and forth between NATO and Erdogan and Turkey about the importance of the countries being accepted. So I wish I could give this to you. These are like C-SPAN videos, like real talks, real scientific people saying that they were in these projects. They took them down, obviously, because it mattered. I do personally believe hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and earthquakes can be created. So I can't show you anymore. Watch the C-SPAN meetings from the 1990s. In the 1880s, Nikola Tesla was said and was also recorded by people in the New York area downtown, created an earthquake with the machine. You're going to have to look up. You'll see the machine I'm talking about. That's 140 years ago, so just imagine what they've learned since. That would give the United States the most powerful weapon ever. So, in my opinion, I think it's from what I know about weaponry and what I've heard about this, it's probably more than likely. I would give it like 60% or more. When you talk about these things, you're made a conspiracy nut, but that's the genius of it. HAARP can put out low frequency waves at billions of watts. Imagine a stereo speaker on your shelf. Turn it up and the books fall off. What if you pointed the speaker in a different direction? Like you can aim it right at it. It can be pointed in different directions and the effect is stronger if pointed directly at. Do you wonder if all this weather is really from HAARP to convince the masses of extinction and sway us into the new climate religion? This is, I'm not saying this is truth, okay? This is just possibility. Jesus never said that he was going to make the weather bad, but I'm sure he will in the end, though. I don't honestly know. Is that far-fetched? Evil people do exist that do want total control. Just look at the World Economic Forum and ask yourself, would they hesitate to use a weapon like that? They make you look stupid for even raising contrails, okay? So I do believe they use those. They can be seen all day, and so I can't give you the video anymore. It's a woman named Rosalind in the 1990s presenting to Congress. She's in Congress, and she's giving the videos, and she's saying this is what these clouds look like. It's like a haze, and it doesn't belong. And they pelt out titanium and metals in the air. So it's a haze, and it's identifiable if you know what to look for. She said it was all across the United States. And the evidence is the metals from the sky are recorded in tree samples and soil samples. So when she was doing that in the 1990s, trees in California were dying, and they were wondering why they were dying. And they found out they were being choked out by titanium metal. So it's not normal in nature, killing trees and vegetation through the metals. I only just found out today that video is no longer. I tried to give it to my dad, but he said it wasn't available. This person who does these videos, he is a conspiracy theorist, and they erase all of his channels like quite often. So the person in this video, listen to this. So this was a real person who uses these waves. He locates oil and gas fields, and he says that he uses just 30 watts or megawatts, I don't know what it is enough to emit into the ground like a frequency that travels dozens of kilometers to find oil, not 60, not 70, not 80, but 100% of the time. So it's the same thing as HAARP. HAARP used like to point it up in the sky. They use 1 billion or more watts. I don't know if it's megawatts. It can't be megawatts. It's probably watts. 1 billion versus 30. So imagine the power. I think when a hurricane begins, they can put a literal wall up and turn it to go wherever they want. I do. When people on the news talk about Chinese power, I believe they really have no idea about the United States capability. China, by the way, spends the most of any country using rockets, the cloud seeding, to modify weather. It's no hidden fact. You can find videos with their planes. They put rockets underneath the wings and they shoot these iodide things into the air. Pardon a sec. The picture on my thumbnail that you see of my video, I'm going to talk about that, okay? And there's going to be a video with it too. If you're Catholic, please keep watching. If this in fact is true, nobody can win against it. I understand what God has planned. A nuclear blast, I know. He has planned I understand what God has planned, He has planned, no matter how weak or strong a country is, right? You can learn that in the book of Maccabees. Have you ever read Maccabees? I recommend reading that. That's one that a lot of people don't read. That's like have you ever seen the movie Braveheart? That's what it's like, but it's like they just keep winning battles and battles and battles. I didn't finish all of second book of Maccabees, but it was great. My stomach is so bad. Holy. What I'm saying is this. I can see the awesome weaponry from China and Russia, but consider this. The US has a budget of nearly $1 trillion militarily, like every year for many years. None of us truly knows the depth. I studied war for 20 years, just like on my own, and its weaponry. Just look at CERN. I know that's not the United States, but I don't know if they're in it, but it's still Western technology. Just in my view, there is no climate change. I don't think there is a real climate change. We had where I live, I had over 300 centimeters of snow, so I've looked over the records for where I live, and that's pretty close. That would make the top 3 or 4 in the last 100 years, anyways. And it's so right now. I remember back in high school it was plus 20 Celsius, and it's below 0. Right now it's above, it's 1, but yesterday it was probably almost minus 10. So it's not climate change where I am. My voice is going. I have dysphonia in my voice. If you haven't seen my videos before, it changes. When they see something, anything, they focus on it and call it climate change. Like that 5,000 kilometer long red tide, which is killing and choking out fish. That could ruin your beach travel plans for sure. So there's like a big red tide of algae traveling, and I think it's heading into the Caribbean. I just heard that Britain is sending, so this is important, uranium depleted ammunition to Ukraine for its Challenger 2 tanks. So all the Leopards and all those advanced tanks, they all use them. They have all different types. They have other types other than that, but so they're depleted uranium tipped. So those shells in Iraq, Kosovo, wherever else they were used, caused birth defects and cancers, like that drug thalidomide or whatever. Moscow says it's a red line, and I agree. Nuclear is nuclear. It's the burning of the ammunition, the uranium-tipped ammo. Why is the United Kingdom walking such a tightrope? Despite how hard the West is doubling down on their efforts and pushing World War III, Putin really has caused war crimes. I heard about them. They're bad. I heard it from Mark Levin that they have burned people, they've crushed their heads with sledgehammers and so on. If you're cheering for Russia, which some people are, I can understand some aspects, but remember, there are war crimes by thirsty prisoners from Russian prisons. I'm not cheering for either side. I want peace. Can you imagine the anger of some of the, because of all the dead relatives? So we're speaking about in total on both sides. In total, it's over 300,000. You better believe that everyone in both countries now knows someone who died. It's time to stop it now. Peace. I won't get lost in the deception, so I won't watch too much of that stuff. Just what I think is true. It wasn't right to invade, and it also wasn't right. Putin was warning for like 15 years not to encroach on their border with NATO, and I understand why NATO was formed, but so it took many months for people to understand. I see both sides. In any case, Russia says that there will be an apocalypse if they send those uranium-tipped weapons. The U.S. Like a lot of people on the news are saying it's turning into a banana republic, and it's true. I'm going to take a little break here. Give me a second. Like my stomach is so bad I have to eat. Pardon me. Sometimes I never know how bad I'm going to be until I start speaking. It's just the way it is. I've been dealing with like kidney colic for about 5 days now. So Banana Republic, we know why they're going after Trump. I mean, like the most petty things. Look, they're not like, Biden should be impeached. Everyone knows that. If this isn't, all some setup, things have gone down so much that the United States is already in a state of communism. Nothing will be the same again. Do you think anything will return to the way it was, unless you had you'd have to banish so many people. You'd have to go in the FBI, CIA. So, you know what I don't get? With the United States doing so bad right now because of Biden and seeing both sides taking shots back and forth, what I don't see is people proposing what they'll do as soon as they take office, right? And I don't mean a Democrat. Who could ever trust one again? The far left is what I mean. Nobody is making a video which is free. Anyone can make a video for free at any time and propose their 10, 12-point plans. If Trump is so great at negotiation, why doesn't he talk to the top leaders of other countries? I don't know if he has, but you'd probably hear about it, right? Why doesn't he reach out to China? Why doesn't he reach out to Putin, try to stop this himself? And other leaders, right? Like, if I get into office, start making negotiations now. So why doesn't he propose a peace plan in case he wins president? And if God wants him in, he will win. So what I was saying about a setup is, I don't know if all these people are set up. I don't know, because you never know, right? God can put whoever he wants in, and he will. If I was running, I wouldn't be debating right now. I'd be winning people with confidence. It's the same with Russia. Putin says over and over, I want peace talks, but you never see him go on TV, or he can go on YouTube and text and talk to our president, or he could text Trump, whoever. Everything's getting ahead of myself. Everything seems only based on fighting in a digital possible world where you can communicate in mere seconds. The world hangs in the balance, so we know that things are getting bad. If history does pass this point, which I don't believe personally, based on biblical signs, history would mock us because we had access to messaging in mere seconds, right? So if it was back when, you'd have to send a message, it'd take a very long time. The same is said about historical figures of past. If they knew that we had that kind of access, they would laugh. So I'm going to read two screenshots here, of Henry Kissinger. Here's one. The one thing man fears is the unknown. When presented with this scenario, individual rights will be willingly relinquished for the guarantee of their well-being, granted to them by a world government, a new world order. Henry Kissinger. Got another one by him. The New World Order, and I've been saying this throughout my videos, cannot happen without the United States participation, as we are the most significant single component. Yes, there will be a new world order, and it will force the states to change its perceptions. Crazy, eh? There's no year with that. My stomach is it's stabbing. I don't know if it's my gallbladder, if it's my kidney stones. Sometimes I can't tell, but now with all the discussion of a mark, I know what I believe already, but I only just started believing and aligning with the 1260 day prophecy years, 1290, 1335, 2300. I align with Seventh Day Adventist. I just don't believe in a new prophet. Nothing else to me presents so much evidence. And you see the thumbnail that I put up, right? I put that up for a reason, and I ask you, please watch the video if you're a Catholic. It presents truth. Like I said, it began from the investigation of the horrors of the Vatican Catholic system. Take this from Exodus 13, verse 15 and 16. I'm on Exodus right now. It's hard to deny I'm putting my trust that the mark isn't physical. And it came to pass, so listen to this, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast. Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem. And it shall be for a token upon thy hand, and for frontlets between thy eyes. For by strength of the hand of the Lord brought us forth out of Egypt. I'm going to read you another one. Deuteronomy 6, 7, and 8. Deuteronomy 6, verse 7 and 8. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes. It bothers me, looking back, all the lies of the Vatican, having me believe the craziest stuff and affecting the souls of over 1 billion people. Like Mary, the Queen of Heaven. I don't know what to make of the Fatima miracle of 1917, with Sister Lucia and stuff. I don't know what to make of it. 88,000 people witnessed the miracle of the sun, right? When all this time the answer lay in simply following Scripture and not men. They're liars, and the depth of it made me sick, and easier to accept my new belief in being convicted and reborn. Yesterday I read what the Spanish Inquisition is and what they did, and it's sickening. So there were many Inquisitions, okay? But this was the worst. These Inquisitions happened all over Europe over 700 or so years, trying to drown out heresy, apostasy, but go figure, they were the worst of them. They were like the Pharisees of Jesus' day. In Spain alone, in over 200 years, 32,000 people were killed, and a lot of those, if not all of them, were burned at the stake. If the Vatican did this stuff over its entire reign, how don't you see it? Please watch the attached video. It tells you everything. They do side-by-side comparisons, Catholic, Christian. These are things created by men, not Scripture. Follow Scripture. How do you not see it? I would probably refuse to see it too. I'd be offended as a Catholic before. One must investigate and accept that it was brutal. So for like 900 years, they wouldn't let people read the Bible. Who does that? Although Pope John Paul II tried to apologize, you can't apologize at the end of all of this for like 50 million dead people. Pardon me one sec. People get all crazy when you talk about this, but about commandments, you hear people say that once saved, always saved. Okay, I'm not mentioning that to debate it, believe me. I'm just going to make a point. When you're saved, you can't, so after you're saved, right? After you're saved, do you believe in Jesus Christ? You can't just go around and sin and do all that, right? You can't do that. So I don't know, does that mean you were never saved? The commandments are there to help keep us on a straight path, and I understand fully that breaking one breaks all. That doesn't make it nullified. What would we be without it? It would be chaos. How would people act without it? You might say we would be okay, but never knowing it. Remember how long ago these were given to us, right? So these are ingrained in us just by basic common sense. I'm not advising people to be Pharisees and seek people's wrongs. I'm saying the law is still useful. So watch Dawn Reborn, okay? So I'm going to give you 3 videos. He's talking about the 10 Commandments and that sin. So we're told not to sin, right? But we will. But sin is transgression of the law. That's just a fact, right? I want to speak about 2 things. I want to speak about pre-tribulation believers. I'm on your side. I'm asking you to consider being prepared for tribulation. Not unbelievers. Well, I don't know what I'm saying here. Yeah, we're not destined to wrath, okay? I just ask you to consider preparing a longer stay here, just in case. Better preparedness than not. What if we are betrayed and delivered up by people we know or love? As someone said in my comment section, just in case, if you're a pre-tribulation believer and you find out that it didn't happen, you might be turned off and not follow God because of it. So, like, I'll say it again, I'm on your side, okay? And I would rather know the truth. Keep your beliefs. We're only separated by an ending belief. If God takes us up, that's perfect. It's no different than getting into a car. So this is how I'm comparing. If there is what I'm asking you to do to prepare yourself, it's no different than getting into a car alone with no gas meter, so you can't tell where it's going to run out. Please be prepared. I want to make a separate video, and I still might. I ask you to pray for the Iranian people, not just the women, for everyone. Also, people in North Korea. I would send Bibles up there. I don't know how. Can you imagine being oppressed for? Can you imagine me being oppressed for like 40 years? And like the Egyptians, like whoever's ever been oppressed, and suddenly you hear the word. It would be alien, and it would be like gold to their ears. That's why we take advantage here in America. Please say a prayer for also the Chinese, because they're the biggest church on earth, and right now they're having to go underground and they're being attacked by the Communist Party. So praying in a wide prayer doesn't do much. I don't know if that's true, but you know, when you say pray for the earth or something like that, pray for 20 people from each of those countries. Just pick 20 people. Ask God to pick 20 people and pray for them and to protect them and say our Father, please. That's the end of my video today. Please watch the videos in there. I'm not well today. I didn't expect to be like this on video, but thanks for watching, guys. I'll pray for everyone in this room. See you next time.